It's Tuesday, June 19th, 2018. I'd like to call the Fitchburg City Council to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I would ask anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for record now by standing and stating their name and address. Is there any such individual here? That said, Councilor Caddy, would you please lead us in the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the roll?
President Kuznarek.
Present.
Councilor Boschman.
Present.
Councilor Clark.
Here.
Councilor Di Natale.
Here.
Councilor Donnelly.
Here.
Councilor Fleming. Here. Councilor Green. Here. Councilor Caddy.
Here.
Councilor Squalia. Present. Councilor Walsh.
Here.
Councilor Zarella.
Here.
Public forum. Anyone wishing to speak on any matter on the agenda may do so for not more than 2 minutes. If you're addressing public hearing petitions, you'll have an opportunity to speak at that time. Please approach the center table and identify yourself by name and address for the record and the item number in the agenda which you're addressing. Does anyone wish to speak at this time? Hearing none, we'll now hear a report from the Committee on Records. Councilor Donnelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have reviewed the records and they appear to be in order.
Second.
I have a motion and second to accept the Committee on Records report. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Communications from His Honor the Mayor. We have one letter of reappointment this evening for Mr. Basil Tolos as a member of the Fitchburg Disability Commission for a term to expire February 1st, 2021. That will be sent to the Appointments Committee. Next on the agenda, we have a special presentation for the 2018 Longs Joe Classic by Mr. Don Injemy, who is with us this evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. I appreciate it. We're here to talk about the Longs Joe Classic, which I'm assuming you all know about. What I'd like to do first, and with the help of Bill McSheehy, is we had specially made shirts for the council that are one-offs, meaning they're just for you. And I'm not sure, Joel, that I got the correct size for you from the mayor's office, so if it doesn't fit, I'll have another one made for you. What I'd like to do this evening, if possible, is do it kind of quickly and just ask each of you individually what the race means to you and what you think it means to the city. I just like to hear what your feedback is on the race, because I'm not sure, I don't know all of you, and I'm not sure how long you've been in town. I was born and brought up in the town, left late in the late 70s, and came back to handle the race after it was gone for a couple of years. So you all know, the first year we brought the race back in 2013, we made $150. Myself, Alan Cote, and Jason Longs Joe brought our personal checkbooks to the race because we thought we'd have to pay out. And fortunately, we didn't have to, so we made $150. Last year, we were able to bring in and distribute, since then we've become a nonprofit. And since that time, like last year, I think we distributed somewhere close to $25,000 to Our Father's House and the high school and the vet centers and stuff like that. So the race is all about community for the people on the Longs Joe board, and it's going to stay about community. It's not going to be a for-profit as long as I can be alive. I just don't think it's a viable scenario to stay a profit center. So if you would, Councilor, could you tell me what the race means to you?
I think it's tradition. It puts Fitchburg on a national stage. And I think I can remember going, I think the first time I went, I was probably in a stroller. And it was, I was a kid, so.
It's all cyclical. You might be in a stroller against
I
someone.
mean, that day may come. But that's pretty, when it went away, it was a very sad time for me.
For a lot of people that weren't even in Fitchburg.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. Sir?
Dick Ring, longtime announcer at downtown. And he's done it, I think, for every year.
Yeah, he actually used to race with Art.
Yes.
Used to race with Art Longjo.
Yeah, and he has got incredible loyalty towards the Long Show family.
He's 84 years old this year. He'll be here and he'll have a microphone in his hand.
Amazing.
It's-
Great
it's-
guy. Great
It's
guy.
pretty incredible. It's. you
That's
know,
mine.
Yeah,
I
no,
love seeing Dick.
yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
Mr. Caddy.
So, tonight at 11 o'clock, I'm driving to Logan to pick up a friend of mine from the Philippine Islands. He came last year to Fitchburg Rides in the Longzhou. He enjoyed it so much. So he's coming with his wife, his children, and his mother, and his youngest son had applied to the kids' race
Oh,
during the
very
Longzhou.
cool.
So probably there'll be the people coming from the farthest part of the world to come to your race.
Might be. No, it's not my race, it's our race.
Our race.
It's our race. What do you think?
To be honest,
No,
when
lie.
I was that's one political skill I haven't really picked up yet.
Good,
For
don't.
yourself.
Don't.
So, to be honest, when I was younger, I heard about it but knew hardly anything about it. But the more I've paid attention and learned, the more I learn, the more excited I am to have it come this year and to be a part of it this year. It's a great opportunity for Fitchburg, a great piece of history ongoing into the future. And I can't wait.
Good for you. Good for us. What do you think
What do I think?
about the race?
Well, I think it's great for Fitchburg. I used to like going to them when I was a kid. You see some big names, riders, and then all of a sudden the Tour de France came, and those big riders went to the Tour de France. And
Yeah,
that
and
is-
currently, this is the precursor for the tour. So a lot of the riders are here that go to the tour from here. So, Mayor, what do you think?
Thank you, Don. I'm looking forward to competing in the 3- and 4-year-old sprint race. I think I stand a good chance on this one.
Only if you shave the mustache.
All right, I won't do
If
that.
you shave the mustache, you might blend in.
This race is economic development. It's just one more spoke in the wheel that brings people downtown Fitchburg. And by the way, Chief Martineau in the back over there, it's the brainchild of relocating the finish line to where we are up
Absolutely.
at the credit union. That was a stroke of genius. And again, I think it highlights our Upper Common, beautiful spot in the city, and
Yeah.
particularly on Main Street. So anytime we can bring people downtown to see the beauty that Fitchburg has, and also to enjoy a terrific day. Knock on wood, we hope it's going to be a sunny day. We've been lucky the last couple of years, haven't we?
In 2015 was the last day it rained.
Right. So we're hoping for that again. And as I urge the councilors, tell your friends, tell your family, bring them down. You don't have to spend the whole day. Come down for a couple of hours, have a beer, grab a burger and a hot dog, and watch pro international racing. Right? Right here in Fitchburg.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Oh, Anna, I can't pass you. You're a human.
It's a great thing for Fitchburg. One of, if not the biggest events in the city. Promotes health, physical activity, cycling, camaraderie amongst the citizens. It's a wonderful thing for the city.
Thanks.
Pride, tradition. I'd liken the perseverance of this race to that of the city itself, and we're fortunate that we have this race as a city our size, and it doesn't happen without so many volunteers like yourself and so many others, and that's what keeps this race strong. That's what keeps our city strong. Like the mayor mentioned, I hope fellow councilors and members of the public just come out and join us. I'll be last year I attended, and I had a friend come from Saskatchewan province, Canada, and joined me for the Brewers Festival, and then Longzhou, and his remark was, this is incredible. He was like, I was born and raised in Baltimore. I've lived in Canada the past 10 years, and he was like, why don't more people know about this city? And so this year I'll bring about a dozen friends from Williamsburg and Greenpoint, New York.
Nice.
And every year they come out for the Brewers Festival or Civic Days or a different event in the city, and they remark the same thing of It's funny, they're sitting in, some of the biggest hipster, capitals of the world, and they sit there in New York and say, man, you live the life in Fitchburg. Look at everything that happens there. And, I think that typifies the Fitchburg experience, and I think the more we can show the outside world, the better off we are as a city.
Cool, thanks. I was almost going to give you the hook, because you're on a time limit.
I know.
Tell us.
So, I came back upon this race as an adult. I grew up in Fitchburg. I've lived here since I was about 3. I went away to college and further to law school, and then came back and wasn't involved for a little while. And I remember coming back one day and just by chance hitting the Upper Common as the race was starting and seeing this massive swirl of bikes going around and around to start, and just
Pretty cool.
thinking, it's incredible that something like that is here. Now I enjoy the race because my friend's 12-year-old daughter is a avid competitioner, and she will beat every other 12 to 14-year-old this year in the race. And I also want to say that you are a mark of our city's ingenuity, because you came here with the obligation to make a presentation, and you've had everybody else do it for you. So, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
It's going to be a great race, and I look forward to it.
Rain
this
or
year.
shine, it'll be a great race.
Mhm.
Talk to us, Mr. Donnelly.
I watched Don promote for quite a few years now. Saturday mornings with his Italian cousins, still promoting the race anyone he could. I look at the longevity of the race and the parade. Civic Days is very close to the number of years. And one thing that I've noticed about everything anyone said good about Fitchburg and the Long Joe race, and how it's the inspiration occasionally to get the Main Street paved again. Not necessarily right away, but it always needs a little upgrade as soon as we pave it as a whole, but it's an inspiration for the city.
And I got to tell you, too, DPW is second to none in all the cities that I've been in and all the races I've been involved in. This DPW in this town is just second to none, just so you know. Talk to us.
Well, I moved here 32 years ago, and I really, for many years, wasn't around here on the 4th of July, but my father-in-law and my mother-in-law and my husband would talk about this race. And I finally was able to actually attend it several years ago, and I was blown away. First of all, the speed of the bikes. But I think I'm going to echo what everybody else has said. It gives our city exposure. It brings the community together. It's historic, and it's fun.
It sure is. Marcus.
So in a negative world that we live in, where this city is more often than not stigmatized by perceptions, Fitchburg really knows how to throw events. And Long Show Classic is one of those beacons of light for this city, for not only economic vitality, but for marketing this city on what we do offer. So last year when I went with my family, my young son, who was 1 at the time, just seeing all the little children there, the families, the Upper Common was full. At some points, they were shoulder to shoulder. It just swells you with pride to say, see, this is why Fitchburg is great. When we have these kinds of events, especially Long Show, it brings so many people downtown, and it really epitomizes just what this city offers, and the fact that we have a lot of jewels in the city, and the Long Show, accentuates that point. So I hope it's here forever, and it's something that I will carry a tradition for with my son, to bring him every year, and eventually, when he's old enough, join the race. And
He's be 2 this year. He can join next year.
yeah, next year.
3-year-olds
Next
race
year,
with your dad.
Okay,
I think he's going to take him. Right.
we'll see.
He's not a counselor, Mayor. I can't help you with this one.
He doesn't stand a chance.
I know what kind of car you drive. Talk to him.
So I believe that it's all about community partnerships, and I have a unique advantage with sitting on the board at FATV. We have the best seats available in the House, and the partnerships that FATV has been able to accomplish and continue to do great media coverage of this event, along with every other event that we cover,
Phenomenal.
has been incredible. And it speaks again to the vitality of not only this race, but the community partners that you have here in Fitchburg. So I look forward to that. We will
always be a part of that. And then personally, I get an opportunity the weekend before when the riders come in to be able to, see them up at my business in Fitchburg and be able to offer them the orthopedic work that they need, both pre-race and then most importantly post-race treatment.
That is most important, you're right.
Right, yeah, so a lot of times we take them right from the race right up to Walton Street and get them taken care of. So it's been fulfilling on every level that I've been able to partner with this event. So I look forward to many more years, and again, looking to see how we can continue to just expand on what we already have in place. We've got a great model, and all we need to do is just further that.
Cool, thank you. Thank you. Sam?
The race for me is a big commitment. It's, a big opportunity to volunteer, and, it's history. It's the 57th year of the race and the 60th anniversary of Art Long's Joe's passing, which is the classic is held in honor of. So and adding the kids' races adds that opportunity to bridge that gap between, the history of the first race and the next generation. So when you bring your kids out for the free races from age 3 to 14, you're able to bring the whole family out and, have fun with the kids, and then also be a part of this tradition that's been going on for 57 plus years.
Plus years, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all. And the reason why I wanted to get your personal opinions is because I want to tell you a short story, I promise. There were 3 gentlemen down in Florida 2 years ago. One was from, they all live in Florida now, but one was from Brazil, one was from Chile, one was from Venezuela. Former pro racers, in the cycling circuit. They're now in Florida, they're in the mid-60s, so they're in the Masters category. One of the guy from Brazil had called me, I guess they're a group of guys, that they hang out together and race together all the time. He called me to get a hotel, all that stuff, so I hooked him up to the hotel, and he came and sought me out to find me, and just to say thank you, which was really nice. And I looked at him in the eye, I said, you've already passed your prime, obviously, in the racing, in the competition, and there's plenty of races in Florida. And by the way, it's flat. Okay, there's no hills down there. What brought you to here? And it still puts the hair up on my. His response was, "It's always been on our bucket list." Think about that. Just take a second and think about that. What the race means to you means the same to someone in Brazil, Chile, and Venezuela. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in. It's not just about us here. That's how worldwide this race expands. Okay, and to let you know, we're stepping up our game this year as well. We have our live mics on the start-finish line who commentate. This year with FATV, we had a production meeting yesterday. We're also, with their streaming worldwide, we brought in an announcer who's going to be specifically for that. He's not going to be on the mics at start-finish line. His name is Peter Graves, not the actor. He's dead. But if you haven't heard of his name, he has broadcast for ABC Sports and ESPN the last 9 Olympics. And he's coming to the Longs Joe to broadcast for us in the truck, and we have color commentary from cyclists that will be with him. So we're stepping up our game as much as we can, everywhere we can. The only thing I need, Mayor, what's the only thing we need at this race?
People.
We need spectators.
Lots of people.
We need spectators.
Right.
More than you can absolutely understand, because I'm the one that goes knocking on the doors and asking for sponsorship money for the race. The first question they ask, how many people are at the race? I went to Aetna, first question. I went to T-Mobile, first question. We need people at the race. Just come down, I think Michael said it, just come down and have a little party at the Boulder. You're still supporting local businesses, but it's all about getting people, and when people come to me for a media pass, all the photographers, I have to tell them up front, make sure when you get shots, there's people in them. Okay, because some years you can look down Main Street, shoot a shotgun and not hit anybody. And that's kind of embarrassing, and especially for us on the board that work pretty much 10 months a year on this thing. And to have nobody show up, it's tough. It's tough. With that being said, the mayor asked me today, fortunately but unfortunately, we started the race, when we took over the race in 2013, like I said, we started pretty much from nothing. To come back after 2 years being absent was pretty tough. We brought it back, we're strong again, and I have just moved to Naples, Florida. So at the end of the race, July 1st, I'm resigning my position on the board and the lead of the race, which isn't a bad thing. I'm working with the mayor, been working with the mayor for a little while now, and we're finding 1, 2, maybe possibly 3 people to pick up the slack where I'm going to be dropping. And I'll work with the persons, as long as I have to make sure the race stays viable. We're financially strong again, but we want to make sure it goes on and on for years to come after Don leaves. That's all I have. Just please come to the race. That's all I can ask. Just please come to the race.
Thank you to you and the countless volunteers that make this happen. Look forward to seeing you down there on Sunday, July 1st. And remember, everyone who watches on FATV, set your DVR so you can record it. You can go back home and watch it, but make sure you come down to downtown Fitchburg and see it in person. Don't miss out on the fun.
And wear your shirts. Did you see the back of your shirts, by the way? Those are one-offs. Those are specially made for the council. Your city champions. Okay? So those are made specifically for the city council. Okay? Wear those game day.
Under $50 too for those.
For those who want to purchase.
Mr. President.
Thank you for your time. Oh, you want?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. There's a little-known city to the east of us? Right? We want to beat them in terms of attendance. Really, councilors and people at home viewing, we need you to come down. Pay a visit. As I said, you don't have to hang around all day. Give us a couple of hours. Give us an hour. You know what I mean? See some of the sights, enjoy the downtown, and let's beat, I'm not going to say the name.
No, don't do it.
That city to the east.
Don't sully these chambers.
I won't do that, all right.
And by the way, one last thing before I leave is, I want to mention Rick Roberti's here. And for the officers that are here with us, I want to make mention that Rick's the only one in town that can actually speed down Main Street all around town for one day, legally. But he's been our pace car rider and driver for almost 12 years.
Yeah.
And that's tough on cars, so he donates these cars. Well, they're nice before the race. Yeah, we have new Mercedes this year, which would be kind of cool.
Except for Big Sheehy's.
Done. Thank you very much.
Mike, can I answer one question?
Yeah, the chief, fire chief and police chief.
All right.
Counselor, go ahead.
Thanks for your time.
Don, we have one question.
John, can I ask you one question? With the big names that we get here, how come we don't get ESPN to come down?
Because I need about $250,000 worth of sponsorship. You find me a business in town that can do that, I'm all over it.
Oh, yeah?
We
I've
get
already
more
talked
people
to-
down there, we'll bring ESPN down there.
I've already talked to WHDH in Boston. It's $250,000.
Oh, is that right?
You get that for me, I'm all over it. You have a checkbook?
Don,
I'll
thank
go
you.
back and
me for it.
Thank
I
you
don't
again.
have that money.
We'll do it after.
Councilors, returning to the agenda, Finance Committee, Councilor Di Natale.
Mr. President, Finance met last Tuesday, and we took up several orders totaling about 15, so I'm not going to read every single one of them. Committee passed all 15 orders, and that's the report.
A motion and second to approve the Finance Committee report. Speaking to the motion, Councilor Boschman.
I'd like to put 173-18 and 174-18.
Councilor, what's your motion?
Fine.
I have a motion and second to approve the Finance Committee report excluding What were the numbers?
173-18,
173-18 and 174-18.
yes.
Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous, motion carries.
Motion to approve 173-18.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve 173-18. Speaking on the motion,
On the motion, I'm
Councilor
gonna vote
Boishman.
against this proposal, giving the airport $100,000. I feel that we're making a big mistake. I think they should be self-sufficient. I'll say it again. We're speculating. We're playing like the stock market. We're hoping it keeps on going up and up and up. Everything they're doing, they said to us that starting in 2019, they're gonna have to start paying for the terminal at a cost of $50,000, so that'd be 50 and 50 is $100,000. Then they're saying that maybe we can get in the solar field, but there's no guarantee on the solar field. They have to get FAA approval, and that's a long shot. It may not happen, it could not happen. And then in the runway that they're expanding about, that the city's gonna have to come and cough up money for the proposed runway too, just like we did for the terminal. So if they're not self-sufficient right now, as we speak, then how are they gonna afford all these bills coming in? That's all I gotta say. I'm voting against it.
speaking to the motion, Councilor Zarella.
I'd just like to reiterate as well what I said at the Finance Committee meeting. I understand the frustration, but we have essentially two options here. We either keep the airport moving towards planned self-sufficiency, or we pull our support and then essentially let it fail, except we can't let it fail, because then we're on the hook for massive, massive liabilities, not even counting the lost revenues from the profitability that is projected in the next couple of years.
I have a motion and second to approve 173-18. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? One in opposition, two in opposition, Councilor Boishman and Donnelly in opposition.
Move 174-18 be accepted.
Second.
I have a motion and second to adopt 174-18. Speaking on the motion,
Speaking on the motion, I'm
Councilor
gonna vote
Boishman.
against this proposal. Again, we just financed $100,000, and now we're giving them $25,000 more. They're not self-sufficient. They haven't tightened their belt tight enough. If you run a business, you tighten it up. We're running a business here. We're not giving out handouts. And this is a business. And if somebody's gonna do more work, then somebody does more work. So I'm totally against it, at $25,000.
I'll just state, for this particular one, we're spending $1 so that someone else gives us $4. This is a grant, and this is a part of the matching equivalency of the grants. So in my mind, this makes sense. You spend $1 and someone else gives you $4 for every one that you spend. I applaud the airport for being able to get these funds and to move forward. I have a motion and second to approve 174-18. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? One in opposition, Councilor Boishman. Motion carries. Public Safety Committee oral report, Councilor Green.
Thank you. The committee met tonight. We had one petition before us, 18418. Councilor Amy Green on behalf of George Schmidt to place no parking signs from FHA, which is the Fitchburg Housing Authority, at Valley Street to Romano Ave. That petition was held.
Motion to approve public safety.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the Public Safety Committee oral report. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It's unanimous, motion carries. Public hearings, 181-18, Comcast for a grant of location to install a solely owned pole on Railroad and First Street to provide Comcast service to 130 Water Street. Now declare the hearing open. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dave Llewellyn, Comcast. Yes, Railroad Street and First Street, we're placing one solely owned pole to provide service to 130 Water Street, which is the Demoulas property.
Councilor Boishman.
You're gonna run the wire over the Nashway River?
Correct.
Can I ask you a question? I was down there today, and pole number 1 belongs to Verizon, and then there's another pole right next to Verizon pole, It's number 1-2. If you go 50 feet down through the woods, there's a pole back there, and it's got wires going across and goes into Market Basket's property. Why aren't we using those poles instead of running another line by itself across the river and putting more poles up where I'm totally against?
Those poles, I believe that you're referencing, are on the railroad property. The one pole that we're placing would just go in line with the other pole that's on Railroad Street, so it'd be one pole there, and then Demoulas is allowing us to set a second pole on their property to connect to their buildings.
But the only reason why I'm bringing this up, they have a line going over the river. They have a high-tension line on the top, and just below that, there's the regular line. I don't know what that line is, I'm not a wire guy, but I would think it'd be a lot easier instead of having all these wires going across the river. I mean, here we are, we're trying to beautify the river, and we're trying to promote the river, and now we're gonna put poles across and wires across the river. And there's already a line there. And I find it very hard to say, why can't we tie into those poles? I know it's a lot more work for you guys to get permission, but it'll be a lot more neater in the long run than it's going to be right now. And, you know, my counselor is going to probably say, this is business, but this is really not business. This is putting wires across the river.
We would have to go back quite a distance to get access onto that pole line that's on the railroad property to be able to bring the service into that point.
I estimated 50 feet.
Well,
50 feet going that way, and then you bring it down, and that's about the same amount of distance that you're going across to get to the mowers.
I would have to go out and look at it to visualize it where you're talking from. I'm not.
I get pictures if you want to see it.
Certainly.
I can't get you my phone, but I get pictures.
Counselor, if you'd like to share your... Counselor, just so you know, you'd have to supply the photos into public record afterwards as well.
All right, forget it then. But it's right across the street from the basketball court, pole number 1. There's one there, then there's another pole with a box on it. And I walked down through with my shorts on and my slippers and right through the woods. And I said, geez, if you cut the overgrowth right there, you got the pole right there, and you hug those wires.
I think that's going to be where the rail trail is, though. Is that correct?
I can't, I don't know if that's the price. But you're not going underground, you're going above.
Correct. It's only going to be one pole and one wire. There's no other plans to add any additional wires. I understand your concern, but I think that the rail trail is going to be there. That's why we specifically put that pole over where we spotted it. We staked it out for anyone to go out and look at it. I'm not sure.
I saw the markings.
You did, okay.
I saw the markings on the road, and I was trying to figure it out, because it said something about boring to see if it's something like that.
Did you see the stake that was there with the pink ribbon?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Okay,
But I was
that's the
going up the
location
road,
of the
there's
pole.
marking up there, and there's marking in the woods, because they got a candy cane coming out of the ground and over like this. And I said, oh, they can go right down that way, because you got the pole right there, and right across.
We took that location into consideration with the rail trail. Again, that's why we picked it without crossing over the rail trail, because the rail trail is going to be off to the right.
All right.
Counselor Zarella.
So, just to confirm my understanding here, the pole that's on the railroad property, you would need the permission of the railroad
You would
to
have to
use
go through
that.
the railroad.
Okay, and that's and railroads, as we all know, are very complicated from a standpoint of regulations and permissions and whatnot. Yeah, I understand the concern, but between the rail trail and between that, I don't think it's really reasonable of us to condition their business on their ability to negotiate with a potentially interstate or national entity for permissions. That seems a bit unreasonable, in my opinion.
Counselor Green.
This is called economic development, and we've been over this with the rail trail, Mass DOT, we've done our due diligence, we've done our homework, and it certainly is so much more cost-effective to run a pole over the Nashua River than to think about installing something under the Nashua River. So we are lucky that we have permission from Market Basket to put the pole there to be able to jump across the river to give us access to a much bigger project and a much bigger economic driver than one pole. Thank you.
Councilor Di Natale.
My own edification, this pole's gonna go on private property,
That's town property.
town property.
Correct.
Why do we need Demola's permission?
We're setting a pole on Demula's property to get across the river. And this is actually twofold. Demula's is graciously going to grant Comcast an easement once we get across there to come out the other side of the Demula's property to provide service to the remainder of Water Street. The business is on the opposite side of Water Street.
Okay, so Demola's is allowing us, or allowing you an easement to service other businesses on Water Street.
Correct.
So when I see these kinds of hearings, I not only roll my eyes, I go, oh, this is going to be interesting, because clear cut and dry things like this always generate some sort of discussion about the aesthetics of these poles and the wires. And I will admit to the public who's viewing right now, I am not an engineer. I will never be an engineer. I trust that Comcast, Demola's, the Water Street businesses, DOT, the railroad, they know what they're doing. Every time we have a pole hearing, we have to go through chapter and verse why we don't like poles. I don't mind the poles. I want to do what the Water Street businesses need. And I'm all for it, and I know what I just said now is going to prolong this discussion even more, so it's my fault. But, you know, there are some matters that we get brought to us sometimes where I go, I am not a subject matter expert on these things. You don't just wake up one day and go, we're going to put a pole there and to hell with the city of Fitchburg if they don't like it. There's a process for this. So I've never heard someone in this city come to me and say, Counselor, it's living here is a lot harder lately because I saw another pole go up. So I've got no issue. I never have an issue. What I do have an issue with is if we complicate things for the businesses because we may not like the way it looks. Thank you.
Councilor Boschman.
Explain again. I'm not asking them to go on the ground. All I'm asking them to do is take pole number 1, run the wires through the woods. We're going to cut those trees down and wait for the bike trail. Use the existing poles that are there. We got permission already for the bike trail, so they can use those poles because there's high-tension wires. I call them high-tension. There's wires on the top, and there's a wire going across right to Market Basket Place. So I'll say this. I'm not an expert either, sir, but let me ask you a question. Your Comcast, Verizon comes in and say, I want to add some more poles. Unitel comes in and say, I want to add some more poles. Whoever else comes in, Motorola comes in and says, I want more poles. Because we're just going to put one wire, and we don't want to take the time to go and ask the railroad if we have to. Because the way I look at it, I don't think you have to, because there's wires going up there from Unitel. So, I'm just saying, why didn't you go over there and ask Unitel, can we tie into your pole? Instead of putting another pole, and the wires will look all the same, you won't even know it's there. Now we're going to run a wire 50 feet away. You're going to have a wire dangling across the river here and a wire dangling across the river here. I'm not going to vote for it because I think it's foolish. We don't have any class.
Councilor Caddy.
This could go on all night.
Right.
Could we close the hearing? If Councilor Boschman doesn't want to vote for it, he doesn't have to.
We have to ask members of the public to speak in favor or against, but I don't see any other councilors on the list, so at this point, I'm going to ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor of the petition. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the petition? If all have been heard, I declare the hearing closed.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and second to approve 18118. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those in opposition? One in opposition, Councilor Boschman. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. 18218, Detective Paul McNamara to revoke the Class 2 car dealer license issued to KB Auto, 209 Lunenburg Street. This car dealer is no longer operating at this address. I now declare the hearing open. Good evening, Detective McNamara.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Paul McNamara. I'm currently assigned as a detective to the City of Fitchburg Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation. On or about May 23rd of 2018, Sergeant Mackey, the supervisor of the Traffic Bureau, and Lieutenant McDermott, the Bureau Commander for the Bureau of Investigation, assigned me to assist the city clerk in the investigation of a Class 2 dealer license. They specifically requested me based on my training experience with the city and my training experience outside the city on motor vehicle law. And the investigation revealed that the current Class 2 dealer at 209 River Street, that's where the application was for, does not meet the criteria of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, Section 25, and Massachusetts General Law, 540 CMR 18.0 is the Code of Massachusetts Regulations. Both of those things were taken into consideration when we originally asked for the suspension of the dealer license. Subsequent investigation, as of about 3 hours ago today, I did speak with the business owner or the property manager of 285 River Street, and that is where Mr. Gayman is going to be seeking to move his dealership. 285 River Street, according to the city property records, was previously a automobile dealership. There is pictures from the city website, the official city assessors database shows that it is, or it was. So we took that in consideration. We didn't have that information when we originally made the recommendation to revoke the license, and quite frankly, we couldn't find the Class 2 dealer. What happened was 209 River Street, the business owner, redid his facility. It was a smaller auto repair business. He actually enlarged it, made a new business, and in the creation of that new building, the Class 2 dealer was actually eliminated from the property, so to speak. He did have some type of office space. It was makeshift office space, but his office space doesn't meet the criteria of 540 CMR Section 2, subsection 4, which defines exactly what that space has to be. And that, we take into consideration that, and we took into consideration subsection 5, which says that the dealer has to display a permanently affixed exterior sign of sufficient size and design to give the general public notice of the name and nature of business. So based upon the violations that were occurring, we sought to bring the individual forward. He did come in right away as soon as we found out where he was. We had no information on it. His previous phone that the city clerk had been given by him was disconnected. His business was disconnected. Anything we could find by social media, it was all disconnected. Based upon that is why we asked for the recommendation. However, subsequent to this, there is an advisory put out by the Registry of Motor Vehicles, and I did explain this to the gentleman seated right here. He's a very nice individual. I did explain to him that it's his duty and responsibility as a Class 2 dealer to constantly monitor the registry website and seek the advisories. One of the issues is the advisory gives him the information, and it says dealer change of address notification. So ideally, and I will supply a copy of this to him so he knows how to do it. He is, after he met with me, he is currently trying to change his location. And the violation is simply that he didn't do it notifying the city clerk and notifying the Registry of Motor Vehicles. So the end result is we should, as a police entity, because we only have those two laws that we have to deal with, we have to make that recommendation for revocation. Subsequent to that, he's working very diligently with the owner of the business to relocate his business. I can tell you that if you do, and I just learned this, if you do suspend his Class 2 dealership license, it is going to take a considerable amount of time for him to obtain an inspection from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. Where he's going is on River Street. He's going to be surrounded by other business owners. You have Rick Roberti Used Car Sales, you have Webnick Car Sales. They do a fabulous job. Their lots are clean, well lit. I mean, great people. And he's going to be in the middle of that mix, so I'm sure if he doesn't perform, they're going to come in here and make a complaint. But that's the issue that we had at hand. He has given us a real number. I asked him to go to the clerk, and he has. The building commissioner has approved 4 cars there at the new address.
So So this is your business in question as well, is that correct?
Yes, please.
If you'd like to state your name and address for the record, and then because this affects you, I'd like to also give you the opportunity just to provide a brief statement, and then we'll take questions from councilors.
Yeah, my name is Kofi Ajiman, and my address, you're talking about where I live?
You prefer residential address, correct? Yes.
Yes, please.
It's 2177 7th Street, Leominster, Mass. And the business name is KB Cars.
Great.
Yeah. And I used to be in 209 Lulumbe Street. And then I'm relocating to 285 River Street.
Questions from Councilor Green?
Yes, hi, Mr. Agaman.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I just want to make sure that, for the record, you are moving from 209 Lunenburg Street
Yes, please.
to 285 River Street. Okay, and this is just a technicality because paperwork did not get done in the order that it should have at the time that it should have. Detective McNamara, I just want to understand that, because I will be hearing this in public safety, so I want to know how to properly move forward
Yes.
with this.
I'm sorry. So the issue is this. The regulations from the Registry of Motor Vehicles, so the City Council has Chapter 140, 57 and 58, those subsections that gives you the authority to grant a license. The other side of the coin is Chapter 90, Section 5 and 540 CMR 18.0 gives the regulation of the business to the police department as far as carrying everything out. So when we were notified, it is a technical violation. He should have notified the city clerk upon the auto body facility asking him to relocate. I did talk to the owner of the auto body facility. He was absolutely fine with where this gentleman was in his facility, only it doesn't meet the criteria under the law of what he should have done. Moving to this new business, everything will be compliant.
So are you currently operating at 209 Lunenburg Street?
Not right now. I'm moving to the new address.
Okay, so currently you are out of 209 Lunenburg Street, awaiting to move into 285 River Street.
Yes, please.
Okay, with a max of 4 cars on your lot at 285 River Street,
Yes.
potentially?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've already notified RMV. They called me for interview, so I've already spoke to them, and they are fine. They are looking forward for that.
209 Lunenburg Street, you were a used car dealer? That's the work that you were doing there
Yes.
under KB Auto?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Detective McNamara, did I hear you correctly? If we were to revoke this license at this point, that would substantially increase his wait time for inspection at the new facility?
Yes.
Whereas if this were to be, say, continued for a short period of time, this would allow him to potentially get the inspection before revocation were to occur?
Yes, what happens is it goes into a different queue at the registry. So right now, they're going to deal with him as just moving his business. If we revoke it, and this, I had to research this, if we revoke it, then he starts all over in the queue of waiting for someone from Section 5 to come out, which could be 8 to 12 weeks before they come out and actually now re-inspect it. Where if he's just moving, he goes into a different queue and they get out here maybe in 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, understood. Councilor Squalia.
So, to clarify, President Kushmerek, putting this petition in is procedural for our authority, but you would suggest that we either continue this hearing or deny the revocation?
Yes, Counselor, because if you revoke his right to operate, by statute, the police department have to notify the registry. They then revoke his dealer plates and any of the general distinguishing requirements, he has to start over again in the process.
So, would you suggest to deny or hold?
I would hold it, and the only reason why I say hold it is to make sure when it goes to public safety that and I hate to use this terminology, but his feet are held to the fire. And again, I met with him, we had a recorded interview, very nice gentleman.
Move to table 18218?
So Counselor, we can continue.
Continue?
We continue, and we'd have to set a specific date. We have, I suggest if we're looking for 6 to 8 weeks, we'd be looking at this point, we'd be looking at our September meeting. So I'd say I would suggest our first meeting of September would be Thursday the 6th. I would give this gentleman, if the counselor so chooses, to continue to Thursday, September 6th. That should give sufficient time.
Move to continue to Thursday, September 6th?
Second.
I have a motion and second to continue to September 6th. Speaking on the motion, Counselor Zarella.
So first, if we hold this and then subsequently decide to, revoke and renew, would he then have to get a whole new inspection even if he already had it inspected in the interim, or would that inspection be usable for a reapplication?
No, once we notify Section 5 to revoke his license, it's revoked. The process
Okay.
to reinstate it is very time consuming.
Right. So, see, where I'm standing on this is, I understand the practicalities of it. I understand the, that it was apparently, at least, and I'm willing to believe it was an error, not a deliberate, flouting of the law. On the other hand, the law is fairly clear, and it's a business owner's responsibility to keep track of what the law requires. Now, I don't want to set this back an additional month for him, which is why I was asking if it would be possible to get the inspection done, then do, revoke and renew so that we have a separate hearing for the new location. I'm looking at this, I guess, basically from the standpoint of what I see very frequently on the zoning board, which is when there's a new location, especially if there have been any irregularities, it's good to be able to have a look at it and say, okay, is this a good idea? Is this going to work? But if it does, if there is no way to do that without pushing this way back into the late fall, then I suppose I'm okay with holding it and potentially not revoking it as the least bad option.
Counselor Green.
Detective McNamara, if we were to deny the petition to revoke it, could it then move into public safety where we would get his query check and the letter from tonight's zoning clearing 285 River Street where it was a car dealer before, and he essentially is just coming in and taking over the new space to have 4 cars?
Counselor Green, from a procedural standpoint, once, if it's denied in the city council meeting, that's it, the decision is made. Rendering any decision made thereafter by the Public Safety Committee to be moot.
Okay, so
What we do here takes precedence over anything that would happen subsequently in a committee meeting.
okay, so I couldn't, this is just a point of order or for clarification, I couldn't then help speed up the process by hearing his petition in public safety in July to grant him that dealer license.
He's got another petition on
No.
tonight's agenda.
There's another petition on tonight's agenda that could go to public safety, but
Yeah, 19418.
that would necessarily have a bearing on this particular public hearing and the mechanism that's before us now.
It would or would not?
It would not.
We're continuing this.
I guess,
Counselor.
thank you.
Counselor Donnelly?
I just see a procedural miscue or something here. We want to keep business going, we want to be business friendly. This isn't a 100-car lot that's going to impact the neighborhood. There's already been businesses established in the neighborhood and at that particular location. We got a recommendation from the detective. Let's keep the person in business. Let's be business friendly. We can continue this hearing. If there's any infractions that arise during this period of time, we could act at that time, and we could actually continue it further. But let's keep the people in business and try to get this continued.
Counselor Zarella.
First, just to clarify, since we do have these two petitions, it's my understanding that the later petition that would get sent to public hearing, to public safety, is only necessary if we revoke the license, because it's a petition for a grant of a new license, whereas if this license is able to be transferred, then we don't need to grant one, right? Am I misunderstanding that?
I believe your understanding of that is correct, Counselor Zarella.
Okay. In that case, yeah, I'm okay with holding this. And like we said, I'll just note for the petitioner that, for my part at least, I really want to see this go well, but I am going to be keeping a close eye on it, because we're going to see this again in September.
I'll just say simply, we all make mistakes. I know I've made my share. The gentleman before us certainly understands the severity of this mistake, now going through this process and endless amounts of bureaucracy that he'd normally have to go through, in addition to trying to atone for the mistake that he's made. He's been cooperative with Detective McNamara, who's already spoken, kindly on his behalf and as well. So let's give him the opportunity to fix it and to move forward, and this isn't coming at the expense or the harm of anyone else. That said, I have a motion and second to continue to Thursday, September 6th. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? One in opposition. Motion carries 10-1.
Is that Councilor Green that raised her hand?
Councilor Green, is Councilor Green in opposition? Loan order 18518, loan order appropriating $4,500,000 to pay costs of replacing water meters, electronic registers, radio, cellular network, and data collection system and other ancillary equipment, and borrow amount as outlined in the enclosed order.
Motion to approve 18518.
Second.
Council, we'd be sending this to finance. Be looking to send this to finance. Loan orders typically go in this amount would go to finance for.
Motion to send it to finance.
Second.
A motion and second to send 18518 to finance. Speaking of the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous, motion carries. Orders finance.
Move 18618 be given suspension of the rules.
Second.
I have a motion and second for suspension of the rules on 18618. Ordered that there be and hereby is transferred from the sum of $9,000, same to be transferred from DPW Parks Personal Services and Labor and credited to DPW Highway Personal Services overtime. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It's unanimous, the matter is before you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve 18618. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous, motion carries.
Move
18718.
18718 through 18918 be sent to finance.
I have a motion and second to send 187 up to and including 18918 to finance. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous, motion
Move
carries.
19018 through 19218 be sent to finance.
Second.
City property or finance, Council?
Finance, Mr. President, because the grant orders are before finance, so it only makes sense that these be before us as well.
Are there any concerns, Attorney Tree? Procedurally, do these also need to be through finance or through property?
They do not need to go through city property because this is for the acquisition, not the disposition of a piece of property.
Thank you for the clarification. I have a motion and second to send 190 up to and including 19218 to the Finance Committee. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous, motion carries. Petitions,
Move 19318 through 19918 be sent to their respective committees.
I have a motion and second to send 193 up to and including 19918 to their respective committees. Speaking on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous, motion carries.
Move we adjourn.
Councilors, just a quick announcement. Just a reminder about Civic Days. Thank you, Attorney Tree. On Saturday, June 30th, the Nashua River Brewers Fest. You heard earlier this evening, Sunday, July 1st, Long's Joe Classic. Very important that we have attendees here for that event. Tuesday, July 3rd, the Block Party, as well as fireworks in the downtown. On Wednesday, 4th of July, we'll have the parade through Summer Street and Main Street. And on Sunday, July 8th, we have Meet Wally of the Boston Red Sox. July 8th, we also have the 11th Amazing Duck Race. And on July 11th, we have the Wall That Heals, which arrives in town, and followed by the 12th through the 15th, the Wall That Heals Memorial. I hope to see everyone out at these events. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes. Adjourn.
Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We adjourn. Thank you, councilors.
Thank you. Make sure I get the right.